This is so great to see you again on this webcast. It is the third one, and I'm very glad to welcome you all here today. Now, for those of you who are here for the first time who do not know us, we are The Catalyst. I am AC Coppens. I am the founder of The Catalyst. We are a boutique consultancy boosting the development of innovative and creative players in digital tech, media, science, on the one hand, and on the other hand, creative content like film, music, design, and the arts. And in addition to strategize for companies or curate program and conferences in these fields, we also represent a number of very talented speakers, and including Weerada. So we've decided to bring these speakers and their insights to you, especially to make sense of these crazy times where we're now and what it means for the creative industries. So Fast Forward is a weekly series of online talks which is actually made by and for people in the conference and event space, but also for emerging and confirmed speakers, and for anyone who is fascinated by how science, innovation, technology shape creative work and society. So I'm delighted to have Weerada here today. Weerada Sucharitkul, an international entrepreneur building new democratic models for film distribution and education. She has lived in 11 countries across 5 continents, and she launched FilmDoo to actually bring 3 passions that she has: cinema, traveling, and entrepreneurship. So she's the founder and CEO of FilmDoo, a platform using innovative technologies to bridge film content with ed tech. Her mission at FilmDoo is to disrupt the traditional film distribution model and create new language learning technologies. And she oversees the company's strategy, content, product, and technology. Today, FilmDoo is a global media company which helps people to discover and watch great films, including hard-to-find award-winning shorts and documentaries. They have a catalog of over 2,700 films from 80 countries. So we can say FilmDoo is a global leader in promoting diversity and helping underrepresented stories around the world to be seen and heard. And most recently, and that's interesting, we're going to discuss this too, FilmDoo launched an edutainment platform helping people to learn languages and explore cultures through film. So in this way, FilmDoo is a great example of the important role that film as a cultural good takes today in our time of a global crisis, if we can say, something that helps us connect with stories and characters from these different cultures and helping us see the world through a perspective other than our own. And it is this crucial role of film that Weerada will be exploring in our talk today, and we look forward to discussing with you, the audience, afterwards and hearing your thoughts and experience. So Weerada, I would say the stage is yours. Thank you.
So hi, I'm Weerada. I'm here to talk about the power of film today, especially its ability to connect the world, to inspire cultural exchange, and bring about what I call the edutainment revolution. So I'm Weerada, I'm the CEO and co-founder of FilmDoo. FilmDoo launched in 2015 to first be a platform to help people discover all the great films around the world. Since our launch, we've expanded into what we now call an edutainment platform, which has the ability to help people learn languages and explore cultures through film. But at its heart, we're doing something that I'm really, really proud of, and that's actually helping underrepresented stories and voices from around the world to really get seen and heard as they deserve. People often ask me, what does the name mean, FilmDoo? So I'm actually Thai by background, and FilmDoo actually means to watch or see a film in Thai. So from the very beginning, I really wanted to have a Thai or non-English word in it in our company to really emphasize the global and international element of what we do, and hence FilmDoo was born. So if you, sorry, let's see if I can hide this. So this is what our website looks like, and you can see that our slogan is actually get connected to the world through film. And what's great is that you can discover films by languages, by country, by category, and we have so many films from all different types of countries. We now have one of the world's biggest international film catalogs. And as I think AC mentioned, over 80 countries, multiple categories and collections. But also, we can also look at the films from diversity, really helping to showcase diverse issues, humanitarian issues, LGBT stories, for female directors, first-time directors from Africa and Latin America. So there's an opportunity there to really give filmmakers and these voices to be seen and heard that they otherwise wouldn't normally make through what we call a traditional film distribution industry. So today, FilmDoo is truly a global entertainment platform. We have the movie streaming site, but the value of film is that we can also now help people to learn languages and culture through film. We've developed some really cool technology now where you can play games, you can create interactive course content based on our films or other video content. And as I mentioned, there's real opportunities to raise diversity issues through the use of films and compelling stories. So where are we today? Most of you by now use a number of different streaming platforms. So actually, there's been what we call the rise of commoditization of culture. What does that mean? So there are a number of global platforms, as you might know, Netflix, Amazon, just to name a few, and they are increasingly around the world. But actually, at the same time, they are producing more and more of their own content, right? So even though, of course, there are, more foreign language content now on Netflix than before, but actually the problem of distribution, of helping independent filmmakers, of helping independent films to get seen and distributed, the gap is actually widening. Because actually these global players, they are of course going down their own commission content, or they're producing more TV series to of course bring back customers, that's their model. But actually what we're losing is actually this independence, allowing people to showcase their creativity. And more than ever, as we're having what we call the commoditization of culture, we need to have the ability to preserve these local culture, these local languages before they are lost. So that is why I feel really passionate about what we do at FilmDoo, to continue to play our role, to help people discover this breadth of culture, of languages, of creativity, and of voice. Film is so powerful, and Ted Hope, who's the producer of 21 Gram, actually said this best. Films have a unique capacity to create empathy for people and actions we don't know or have not yet experienced. And that's why film is so important, because it can help you to relate and have empathy for others. Another famous filmmaker, Quentin Tarantino, who everyone knows, of course, actually said this too, that film is the most powerful art form because it can move you, it can transport you to other places. He actually said this. Music doesn't quite do it, novels don't quite do it, paintings don't quite do it. They do it in their own way, but only films alone have the ability to move, especially when they are in a shared viewing experience. They can be thrilling. And I completely agree with Ted there, because to me, film is the only art form that combines all the art form itself. And that's why it's so powerful. That's right. Film is so important because it's been known to have the ability to shift perspective, to affect someone deeply, and to transform lives. Because of all these emotions that can really evoke in you, it can really inspire, it can create a message, it can create a talking point, a debate, a discussion, and most of all, it's fun. Who doesn't love to watch a great film? Fun, interactive, engaging. And that's right. Film has the ability to inspire music, sound, sight, imagination. There's another phenomenon that's going right now. I don't want to say it's the dumbing down of content. I'd rather say it's a different kind of trend going towards short form content. As you know, we're now living in a world of TikTok, Twitter world where we're getting shorter and shorter content and snippets. But that's why we also need long form content more than ever. As we have more of this short form content, there is a need for an equal and opposite type of content that is rich, inspiring, deep, and thought provoking. It's never been more important to have this type of content to connect the world and inspire people. And there's also another reason that we need film. It's this saying, life imitates art and art imitates life. Because this is on film that people can see, they can have role model and they can aspire to. And that's why actually film plays a very important role in inspiring diversity and inclusion in the real world. And here's a picture of my favorite, Thelma and Weerada. Perhaps some of you know her. It's Geena Davis. She's of course a famous actress, but she's also an activist for what we call on-screen representation. She has her institute, Geena Davis Institute on Gendered Media, and she pioneers a lot of research on screen representation of females, not just female directors, but actually the number of women who appear in screen overall, the number of women who have talking roles. And it was found that actually on average, men still have twice the number of presence on screen and 2.5 times of speaking roles. But what's also really interesting in her study, she found that in general, on average, there's about 17 to 20% of female representation on screen. And guess what? In the real world, across all industry, politics, science, economics, law, etc., there are 17 to 20% of female representation in the real world. Why is this? That's because you can't be what you can't see. And that's why film is so powerful. Because with film is the only place where overnight you can see a world where there is equal gender parity, where suddenly through film, there's a world where we have more representation of not just a female, but ethnic diversity, a world where we can be in the future we want to see. And when we see that world, when we can relate to it, especially younger children who of course internalize the information a lot, we can aspire and we can create and we can emulate that in the real world. So films is so important for us to translate and make change in the real world. So we're living in this really paradoxical time now, because there's never been a time with greater technology. Technology access has never been greater. But at the same time, cultural access has also never been weaker. Our ability to lose our heritage, our culture, our language is increasing. So we have to do something more than ever. And actually, right now, with current events, as we're limited with the ability to travel, global mobility is endangered. Actually, countries around the world are seeing a rise in nationalism. Nationalism walls are closing. More than ever, we have to be able to connect, to break down these barriers. And what is the best and easiest way to do this and quickest way is through film. That's how you learn about other people. That's how you can create empathy and understanding. But what's interesting is, watching films around the world or having the opportunity to by now live in, over 10 countries. What's always been amazing for me is that the more places I lived in or countries I learn about, how similar people are around the world. I lived in South Africa, I lived in Japan, Australia, everywhere. People are all fundamentally driven by the same things in life. That's their motivation and aspirations for love, for success, for family, for friendship, for spirituality. We are all similar, and films make us realize our similarity, and they can unite us. So in a world that is increasingly being fragmented, we need this unity more than ever to embrace and connect. And interestingly, with technology and even the rise of automation or artificial intelligence, I love technology. I work extensively with artificial intelligence in my own company and what we do. But at the same time, as we have more of these artificial intelligence, there's a need for greater human empathy than ever. There's a danger of where automation is used to make decisions, and that is why empathy allows us to continue to put things into perspective and to make the right decision depending on the circumstances. And that's one way we have that empathy, is through film, is through this rich narrative, our ability to connect, our ability to pass on stories generation to generation. Films are a great way. They're powerful, they're compelling. They can help us to learn and connect to the world in a world that has fundamentally changed. It's what we call an edutainment revolution. So essentially, increasingly, films help us to learn, but at the same time, when someone is learning something, they can also be entertained and time passes. So the edutainment revolution has arrived, and I'd like you all to embrace a little film that can all help you to connect the world. Thank you. So get in touch as well if you'd like to learn more.
Wonderful, Weerada. Thank you so much. Make sure to answer questions in the chats. That would be great. Make sure also to, have reactions. There is a little button with reaction here. So, I would definitely clap and enjoy this. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure also that we are all on and that we can, enjoy the conversation now with Weerada. But maybe let me start quickly, or Joe, do we have some questions right now, or should I start?
I would go ahead with some of our questions. I'm really, curious to hear your answers, Weerada, because we're really looking forward to this talk.
Yeah, totally. So the thing which I'm totally, spontaneously would like to react to, you were saying that the human essence is everywhere pretty much the same in terms of feeling, aspirations, conflicts, and so the human soul is already similar all over the world. So two things then. Is local the new global because of this? Because we can relate to anywhere? Yeah. And then where is the cultural exchange then if it's all the same?
Well, I think the sameness is the aspirations, right? But the interpretation is different, So everybody loves a good food, right? But what is that good food? My good food is not the same as yours, right? So I think the aspiration, the motivation, why we do what we do, why do people drive to do certain things? I think that's what films tell us, right? But what is someone's good film might be different from someone's good film because preference and style. But so in that way, I think that's what local means, localization, how it adapts to taste, to history of that culture, to musical evolution of that place. But each place, each culture, each ethnicity is unique, and there is a right to fundamentally preserve that heritage as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you were also mentioning, in terms of diversity, access, and etc., and representation, we have very different contexts all over the world.
That's right. Yeah.
So this access and representation for all the different kind of people. So this is really important. This is recontextualized, and this is where the cultural exchange is starting, and allow us also to recontextualize other situations and to understand them. And this is where learning starts, right? I think we have a couple of questions concerning essence, Joe.
We just had a lovely comment from Rosalind. The essence is perhaps the same, but the expression is different depending on the cultural context, like grapes express in different terroirs. It's really nice. We also got a great question from Mariko Hamada. Thank you, Mariko. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think that your service needs new films all the time. How do you find new films, contact, and decide to deliver on the FilmDoo platform? I'm also very curious about this.
Well, we've been around for a few years now. So of course, when we first launched in 2015, we went to festivals, and I have a great team. I have some amazing people working with me. Couldn't have done it alone. Some great filmmakers, film students, who's always on the search for great films. But like I said, interesting as well. But by now, we are getting submissions. We get about 25 to 50 submissions, easily within a week. And I'm proud to let it be known here first that we are within a week or 2 weeks of launching a user upload feature. It's been a long time in the making, but going forward, it will make it a lot easier for filmmakers to directly submit a film into FilmDoo. Although of course there's still a curation and to make sure that it meets the right criteria, not inciting hatred, all that. But this will make it easier and faster for us to work with even more filmmakers around the world.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
I think connecting directly with that, we have a nice question from Lena Tamamat as well. Lena, you can also feel free, anyone who has a question in the chat, I can read it for you, but you can also switch on your camera and ask it personally if you would like to do that. So Lena, if you feel comfortable with this, feel free to jump on. Otherwise, so the question is, I'm curious on how you select the movies that you represent on FilmDoo. So maybe you could talk a little bit more about your criteria, because you said it's, good films, but also interesting films. And is there a kind of tension there? And are there some difficult decisions with choosing films or not?
So at its core, I want to help people discover films that have the ability to inspire, evoke emotions, have a purpose. So for that reason, we don't really have what we might call abstract or experimental films. So they tend to have a narrative, if that makes sense. There is a story. But in terms of a criteria, it's not a strict criteria, but if there's a film where we feel it's inciting hatred, it's very adult themes, not but if we feel that this film can create good, there's a message at the end, there's a story to tell, then we would be open to showing that film. I also want to make it clear that film is subjective, right? So there are many great festivals, and you have to be in the top 10, top 20, and it's a shame. For me, there are so many great stories that they might not make film awards or festivals, but they still can have an impact on someone. They have a message in there, and with the right audience, they can make a difference. So in that sense, our criteria is broader, as you might say, than a traditional festival or some other platform. But the main thing is that we feel this film will give purpose to someone.
May I ask a question? The next one. No, because talking about like different films, cultural value, and etc. There is all this thing with languages. And, in my email to all our contacts in the film industry, I was saying we're going to cite the director of Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, who was saying in his speech at the Golden Globes, when you overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you will be introduced to so many more amazing films. And this is quite a sarcastic remark, actually, but it's also very powerful statement and a critical attitude, which is common in the film establishment, like in the US, where it is really rare that a foreign language film will gain as much traction as a Parasite did, right? So my question to you is, do you think that VOD services alone are able to spark wider engagement with non-English speaking films, or does this need a joint effort with other key players in the industry, maybe from festivals to distributors or film media?
Yeah, I believe in a collaborative mindset. So I don't think anyone alone, but VOD absolutely has a role, because through one VOD platform, you can reach audiences around the world, right? We have over 250,000 registered members. We have people coming from Egypt, Malaysia, US. But the role that VOD can have is that one film, in a foreign language, once they have English subtitles, they can also be easily translated into French, German, etc. That same film is now accessible to the rest of the world. Whereas, of course, going to a festival, it's more limited. It tends to be localized geographically. But that's changing now. So with the current events, a lot more festivals are now embracing doing things online, right? But that's what's powerful about technology or platform. And I got into this not because I was a filmmaker, but because I was an audience. I worked in technology, helping supermarkets get online. Nothing sexy or glamorous at all, but I saw the power of technology. I saw, and of course I love film as an audience. And there was a film in 2012, 2013. It's a Korean film called Masquerade that I really wanted to see. It grossed 16 golden bells in South Korea. And I was like, why can't I see that film? At the time, it wasn't available anywhere, not in cinemas, not DVD, not on online. And I was like, why can't, you know, this film be seen with English subtitle? And that's what drove me to launch FilmDoo, because of this consumer. Why can't this great film be accessible? And actually VOD is a way, a relatively cheaper and easier way to make that information more accessible. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and there's definitely cooperation across the festivals, marketing, awareness, making subtitles accessible as well. That's also another milestone we need to achieve in the industry here.
Yeah, before we take the next question, I mean, I have something to, I mean, do you think also that these new developments and in film and video technology, especially in the AI space, could help to make films in different languages more accessible more rapidly? I'm thinking of startups like Simon Says, for example, but I'm also thinking of other kind of services like Greta and Sparks. Greta and Starks, they are making accessible film to people with difficulties in listening, hearing, and in seeing.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, there are quite a few other tools coming up that are already allowing more inclusion. So do you think that these technological developments are something that you could also make use of with FilmDoo, or contribute to also in the development?
Absolutely. If anyone's out there is currently in this field, I'd love to talk to you straight out. It's something we're exploring ourselves, our AI, artificial intelligence. So we've obviously looking, we are already looking at artificial intelligence to recommend films by language level. It's something that we're already doing. I have also been looking extensively into artificial intelligence to automatically transcribe, you know, from a Japanese text, which can then automatically transcribe to English text, because that would bring down the price of subtitle creation. That can, you know, allow the film to then be supplied, not just on FilmDoo, but, you know, for the filmmakers, they can go on. But right now, the state of the technology is it's not fit for purpose yet at that price point. So either you need to bring in a human editor to correct it. So I think technology-wise, we're not quite there yet. And, you know, there are big companies doing this, by the way, you know, Amazon, Google, some really, really big and amazing company. But I hope that collaboration and you know, within a few years, we would get us to in a state where mass production of subtitle is accessible. Just as a fact, for example, 90% of Japanese films don't have English subtitles. So, you know, there's a lot of Japanese film producers we work with and said, we'd love you to have our films. Our film is from the 60s and 70s, but we don't have subtitles. And, you know, for a platform, we can't produce subtitles for every older film. So where is the, you know, where do we go from there? And that's why subtitling will be the key to the future, to helping people access this film on a global scale. So yeah.
Yeah, great. This is great. Joe, we have another question.
Yeah,
right?
we have a really nice question from Dan from Fusion International Film Festival. So Weerada, we are huge fans, as you know, and have enjoyed your team attending our festivals. Very nice. Are you perhaps disappointed that this generation is seeking short content that offers personal validation and likes, as opposed to real cultural content that can leave a lasting impression and change outlooks on the world? So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Is it all kind of bad news? Or are there also, I mean, I think there's really great content produced also by younger generations as well. So I'm curious.
We can't resist change, right? If you resist change, it's inevitable. I mean, short form content is driven because more and more people are on mobile, that by nature, right? And there's some really creative content being produced in Indonesia and Africa, people shooting stuff on mobile as well. So I think how to look at it is content is changing, and even in the film industry, you know, the type of content being produced, you know, my personal view is there will be more higher end content, more smaller budget content, while the middle budget it will collapse because it's harder to get distribution through DVD, etc. But that middle sector could go into web series, for example, where they've had their training in short form content. the word disappointed that Dan mentioned, it's a strong word. I wouldn't quite say disappointed, but there is definitely a value in stories that can connect, that can continue to inspire. And I think a great storyteller, whether they're making a short film or a web series, can adapt, right? But short form content in a way is easier. You know, it allows more people to create content. There are some great Instagram stories now. I read about people now creating Instagram stories, which is like a short series that you can follow. And some of these great storytellers can go on to get the exposure and get on to make film. But there is a place for both. And I think appreciation of the different type of content will be key.
You were mentioning before film festivals and etc. And we know that due to the pandemic, a number of film festivals around the world have decided to move their programming online and even cooperating to create super festival. Starting in 2 days, we have We Are One, right? Presented by YouTube, produced by Tribeca, lineup fed by Cannes, Venice, Toronto, but also the film festivals Tokyo, Sarajevo, Marrakesh, and Mumbai. Now we're talking about cultural exchange, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think that initiatives like this could give foreign film a real boost? Or is this just a short-term effect?
I would like to think so. I will, especially, you know, with Parasite having such a amazing year. It's, you know, I would hope that this inspire people and you know, it makes international films more accessible. You know, the mass market is more approachable. It's a start of a movement. But we have to continue it. You know, like you were saying, you know, the press have to talk about it. These films have to be shown in schools. Parents have to be open to watching foreign language film with children as well. It starts at the home. I got into watching foreign language films because my father studied in Paris, so I watched a lot of French film growing up with my father since I was a little girl. So you know, that was the kind of exposure. So I was not afraid of reading a subtitle on a film. But where I would like us to go, and you know, I hope that FilmDoo is in a position in the future to really work with film producers, content creator, where we are creating films in their authentic language. And for me, it's always quite funny when you're watching a show, you know, for example, Marco Polo, and all the characters are speaking English, and I understand you have to do it. It's, you know, that's what you do. But why are we not in a position where you have real stories where, you know, you have characters speaking their language and another character, and why are these characters speaking? Will we ever achieve a world where it's authentic and it's immersive, and reading a subtitle, changing from one language to another, is just as natural as in the real world? And that's where we'd like to get to. But
or even with automatic audio, who knows where we're going to go, right? I mean, audio is the next big thing coming up, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking also on a more professional level here. We are a lot of experts in the film industry. On the B2B level, I think such a festival like We Are One would be also maybe more successful if it's not only screening films, but also that the digital tool platform behind this will allow, you know, like to connect between professionals and having the market side going on, right? So I think this is something we will have to check a little bit, like how it's working. We know that Cannes is going also on the platform of Cinando. Cannes Next, the Marché du Film will be on the last week of June. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, how do we do this now, right? Does technology support also the B2B efforts? What do you think these film festivals going online could learn from niche VOD platform? And I'm saying like niche because niche is a very relative term, right? But what do you think they could learn from niche VOD streaming platforms?
Well, the first is the power of technology as well, right? Because traditionally festivals have been more localized, but I think by overcoming, actually technology or being online is not stopping us, you know, from reaching our audience. In fact, it can even help us to reach more people who otherwise would not have been able to come to the festival. So I think that's the first mindset. but secondly, to also explore new business models, right? So just because you have things online doesn't mean that you can't have what you had before. You know, you can still have Q&A like we are doing now with director session. You can have pitching sessions. You can have paid for workshops. So see what you were able to do offline, but maybe bring that online as well. Technology at the end of the day is just a tool, but it does have the ability to reach more people at at a lower cost point, but I think just like offline, festivals also need to know who their audiences are, right? So how do they reach their right targeted audience? If they're a horror festival, then again, how do you go find these horror audiences online and bring awareness? Just getting online doesn't mean the audience will come. That's something we've learned the hard way, right? So we've had to learn where is our audience, and we found out there's a big audience in language learning who's interested in coming to FilmDoo to learn languages. So we knew there was a different type of audience we were able to reach. But the fundamentals is still the same. Know your audience. What are the different ways you can monetize? Give your users and audience what they want. But don't have a fear of technology. Don't have a fear of going online. It can help and build your festival further. And maybe even after the festival to go on to have a presence after that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about this, what do you think are the core components of a successful user experience or viewer experience or audience experience, in particular for viewing foreign films? What should we check on the, like interface with the technology to make this a pleasant experience, a fruitful and rich experience?
Well, first thing would probably be discovery. That's why I think it's changed, but obviously when we first launched FilmDoo, I found it hard to find content on YouTube and some of the other platforms. It has, of course, evolved and changed over time. But I think making curation, making discovery really easy. And that's why, of course, we've gone down the curation by languages, curation by country, and people really value that. I think the user experience comes from knowing how your users want to see your film. What mood are they in? Maybe some other platforms go, language is not big for them, but they go by different categorizations, right? They might go for when to watch. I'm looking for a film to watch with my children. I'm looking for a film for a date night. So it depends on your users coming to the platform, how they're using it. Curation, discovery, but also interesting innovation that can help you differentiate from other platforms, for example. So I think cool features that make it really accessible. That's also, and of course, anything to help support accessibility, like you said, depth of hearing or more subtitles, to give people more opportunity to see your films and use your site would be key.
Great. I think we have one more audience question. We have time for one more from James Bond. So we talked a little bit about.
I want to see this guy. Make your camera.
I wonder if it's Anyway, this is a really great question. So short film content is not only personal validation, but it's very cultural. For example, through short stories, so short film, and on FilmDoo, you definitely have quite a lot of short film. So this question asks, what are the biggest challenges for short story cinema in the future?
Well, in general, it's hard to monetize short films, right? Just in general. I mean, although that's often not the goal of short films. So a lot of great filmmakers make short film as a business card. You get discovered. That many short films are available for free. You use this to get your first job as I don't know, in advertising, and then you get noticed, and then you go on to make a film. But in general, it's very hard to monetize short films. There are some short film festivals, and there are, of course, some short film platform. So what we do at FilmDoo that I'm also quite proud of is we curate the short film into a compilation. So we bring a series of short film, say we just launched one called the French Touch series. So French Touch Girls of Summer. So it's all about, young coming of age girls over summer, French Touch, French Fright, so French horror stories.
I love it.
So when you compile them into a feature, you sell them as a feature, right? So people's ability to, okay, I'm happy to pay for a feature, but I wouldn't have been happy to pay for a short, if that makes sense. So I think monetization is still the main thing for short films, but you know, we're working to change that. There's a lot of great companies also hoping to do a lot more and help short filmmakers. But like I said, I think short films, the end purpose is often a discovery, profile racing. So it serves different purposes. Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. By the way, Joe is super active on the chat, putting all the great content, the links and etc.
Oh, brilliant.
You know, we will have this chat a little bit longer open so that you can check the links before it is closing here. But yeah, I still have another question, if I may. May I, Joe? Do I have the time to put another question?
I think go ahead. We're all still here. I'm curious. So
yes, wonderful. So, I mean, we were talking about all this, but I want something concrete now. Are there any films available to watch on FilmDoo right now that you would actually recommend to us as a good and powerful example on how audiovisual media is actually facilitating cultural exchange? Is there anything you would like to recommend to us, Weerada?
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole collection.
I'll mention 3 films which I really enjoy, and you know, and obviously I'll give a code to watch a free film as well, so you can try it out for free.
Oh my God! Okay, that's a surprise. We didn't know. This is great. Wow.
I'll give the name of the film first, and this is the kind of film why we do what we do at FilmDoo. Mm-hmm. The first one is called In the Absence of the Sun. In the Absence of the Sun. It's an Indonesian film, and we at that time we were the first to release internationally outside of Indonesia. But it's by a young Indonesian filmmaker. The story is about, you know, a young girl and her lover who grew abroad in New York, and then they have to move back to Jakarta. And then, you know, obviously coming back to Jakarta, it's all about the modern, trying to fit in traditionally, family issues. But it really gives Indonesian a new light. You know, sometimes you see Asian film, it's always stories about poverty and, you know, crime and drugs. But actually, this shows modern Jakarta, beautiful city. You know, what are real young Indonesians going through? Educated Indonesians who live in New York coming back, what are the issues do they face? How do they assimilate back to that culture? And I like this kind because it's the modernity, you know, East meets West, and it really, it's a real cultural exchange, right? So I think stories like this need to be seen and heard. The second film is called Mongolian Bling. It's actually a Mongolian documentary about rappers in Mongolia. And it makes you think, what is it like to be a Mongolian in the 21st century? So they interview, you know, rap stars, gangster raps in Mongolian. Someone is trying to combine a traditional Mongolian music with rap, and it's really fascinating, you know, how music evolved in far corner of the world. You know, how do, again, they combine the Mongolian tradition and culture. And the last film is a film called Sway. It's by a young Thai Chinese American director, and his first film got into Toronto, and again, we're really proud to be able to show the story. And it's about three stories. One is in Hong Kong, one is in Paris about a Hong Kong couple, and one's in Bangkok, and I think the other one is in Japan. And basically, again, it's about, you know, international issues of, you know, people wanting to go abroad, you know, a Japanese. Of a foreigner who's married to a Japanese family and trying to assimilate. So again, these are modern issues of how real people are embracing questions of cultural, how they're integrating. And again, you know, what I mentioned, how they're all similar, driven by love, you know, passion, success in life, family. These are the kind of stories that you know, really deserves to be seen and heard. But yeah, so if you'd like to see the film, we're giving a free film code. It's Together with Film. Same word, Together with Film, all capitalized and all same word. And when you're checking out, you can use the code to watch any film for free, not just those 3, but those are the 3 that I am particularly passionate about. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for this fantastic present. I can say I'm so glad you mentioned In the Absence of the Sun. It's a film of Luki Kuswandi, who is he's a great friend of mine.
Oh yes, oh.
So it's really so incredible. I mean, this is not at all prepared, but awesome filmmaker. We met in Jakarta in a film festival, and he's fantastic. So and I was mentioning in the chat, it's a fantastic title, very emotional, and actually telling the whole story in a couple of words. It's a fantastic film, really. So I'm glad you mentioned it. That's great.
This is not prepared, by the way, everyone.
No, this is not prepared at all. Really, we swear. This is totally authentic here. So great. Do we have further questions, Joe, in the chat?
I think that's it. But if anyone, has a quick question they want to ask last. But yeah, I think everyone's saying, what a great session. I agree. I think it's been really, really nice.
Totally, me too. So
thank you
so much, Weerada. It was really a great discussion. I really enjoyed it.